Hey everyone, it's Matt with Mineral Stains. Today I want to talk to you about primer. So I'm getting more and more questions about why we use primer, is primer needed, and I wanted to kind of simplify it a little bit more. So I'm going to use this brick as an example. Here you have a raw, unprimed, unstained surface, right? Here we have a finish in a color that's closer to like a natural brick. So when you skip the primering stage, let's just use this brick as an example. If this section at the bottom, for whatever reason, drinks more than the section at the top, you may see variations. You may see streaks when you stain. So I don't believe, even with traditional paints, I don't believe the 2-in-1 marketing. I do think that even if you use a standard primer when using latex acrylic paints, you're going to get a better adhesion, lesser of absorption, and meaning you're going to save on the product. You may get away with 2 coats versus at times you may need to do 3 coats if you go with the light pastel color over a darker wall, for example. So when you use a primer, because you're going to say, well, Matt, what's the difference if I were just to stain and I skip the primering stage? I'm going to save on money. I'm going to save on time. So here's the thing. Basically, the stain and the actual primer that's got a little milky look to it, but it's almost like a translucent color. When you apply the primer, it goes much deeper into the actual raw surface. As soon as you put mineral pigments into the product, it has more fillers, stabilizers, obviously, and then you have the pigments. So what happens is the actual potassium silicate primer is not going to be able to penetrate as deep into the cavity of the brick, if you will. So by skipping this stage here, going directly into the staining stage, yes, you'll still achieve a result. But when you go with a darker color, not in this case 1 or 2, but if you go with the darker, what's going to happen is you're going to see streaks. So you may not see as many if you go with the lighter color, but when you go with like a slate, a darker brown, or a black, you're going to see a lot more variations. And again, the very same brick might be more absorbent here than here. So what you're doing is you're allowing the brick to take in the primer, and then 12 to 24 hours later, once it cures, and then you apply the first stain, it's going to be more even, if you will. A Chicago common brick, for example, is a good example. Cement blocks that are very porous are another example. So you may have a very large section of where there's a lot of water being pulled in, or product, and even between the block itself you might have different surface areas that are more than the other. So case in point, I would not skip the primer stage. If you want to get more longevity, if you want to have more of a uniformity, don't skip the primer, and you'll be able to get away with most likely 2 coats of stain, and you're going to do the best possible job you can by using a primer. Too many companies out there, even that compete against us, are many times skipping the primer stage. So this I would not recommend, whether this is a residential or commercial project. You want to do the primer and then you stain. Thanks for attending. Please reach out to us for additional questions. info@mineralstains.com. Thank you.